You're listening to the B&H Photography Podcast. For over 40 years, B&H has been the professional source for photography, video, audio, and more. For your favorite gear, news, and reviews, visit us at bnh.com or download the B&H app to your iPhone or Android device. Now here's your host, Alan Weitz.
Greetings and welcome to the B&H Photography Podcast. Today we're going to be announcing the winners of the B&H Photography Podcast Panasonic LUMIX S1 Sweepstakes. But first, we're going to shoot the breeze amongst ourselves for about a half hour or so keep yourselves busy, okay? Okay, seriously, we want to thank everyone who subscribed to the podcast over the course of the sweepstakes, to those that left ratings on Apple Podcasts, and to the zillions of listeners who left Facebook comments with their favorite episodes. One thing that really pleased us to see the variety of episodes that are chosen as favorites. Everybody's got what they like, and it's a full range. Some noted favorites that were published 4 years ago, and others on episodes on obscure topics. It really was all over the place, and that's good. Mm-hmm. We pride ourselves in taking on a wide variety of subjects on our podcast, and it's really neat to see that our efforts are being appreciated. So thanks again to all who entered the sweepstakes. And at the end of the show, we'll announce the winners of the LUMIX S1 full-frame mirrorless digital camera with the 24 to 105 millimeter lens, and the winner of the LUMIX G95 mirrorless camera with a 12 to 60 millimeter lens.
So you won that one, right, Alan?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
One, right?
Yeah,
okay,
I already
good.
had it customized. I had pinstripes put on it and some extra wide tires.
Okay,
it's really good. Yeah, and I got those
tires?
And I got those fat memory cards, man. I tell you, in the rain, they're the best. They really are. All right. So anyway, about our schmoozing thing here. As the summer winds down, we start to think about the fall, and it is turning to fall out there. We're going to return to a conversation we had back in January of this past year when John, Jason, and I reflected on our own photography practices and what we wanted to achieve in the upcoming year, which is now over halfway done. Okay, so now let's catch up, see how well we held to our goals and aspirations, and see how it goes. So who's going first? Am I going first or what?
Yeah, you're definitely going first.
All right, I'm going first. Okay, my big thing was I was yapping about getting back into...
Maybe we should just refer people back to this episode. It was called our Photography New Year's Resolutions, and it came out in January. So if you do want to go back and listen to it to get a sense of what we were talking about then, it might help, but not necessary.
Anyway, that's what I was doing. I was starting to go through a lot of my old transparencies. Mm-hmm. I have slides going back and negatives going back 50 years, so I've got a lot of stuff. And one of the most liberating things has been throwing out bags and bags and bags of slides that I know I don't need, I don't want, I'm never going to look at, nobody's interested in.
We're going to talk about shows that influence us a little bit, but I guess the Jay Maisel show and
the
that
Jay
image of
yes.
garbage bags full of slides.
Garbage bags and also about editing. He in that film, which, again, if you haven't seen Jay myself, we've seen it at least 2 or 3 times ourselves here, and I want to see it again. It's a great movie. It's a love story. It's about photography. It's just great stuff.
So a quick question. Did you throw away all those slides before even checking them out or no?
I didn't even see what they were. I just threw everything out the window, okay? I just put bags and they're out there, okay? The deer are rummaging through it now.
That was part of your New Year's resolution, right?
Yeah, it's a mulching thing. Yeah. No, what I did was I went through a lot of the slides. A lot of them were in sheets. Some of them are still in boxes from way back when. And I was really honest with myself. I just threw out a lot of stuff and just kept things that really did make a difference. If I had to pause and look at something, I knew it was worth it. And then I went through it again, but throwing out literally thousands of photographs. And I just want to get down to a good core body of work, that stuff that matters, so that when I die, my kids can throw them out. Let's face it.
I think about that all the time.
Can I ask another question to the group, actually?
Sure.
Do you guys go do the same thing, call through photos and actually delete them off your hard drives for digital photos?
Yeah, yes. I've been doing that too. And what a graveyard. Plus, you don't see it.
I got to do that.
Yeah.
I'm blowing through hard drives like crazy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and it's expensive.
Yep. I've been backing up my stuff more seriously too, and that has to do with also our podcast that we've had on hard drives, and also
Erin Babnick,
and her house burning to the ground the day she unpacked it in California at that horrible fire. It just hit home a lot that I really was keeping all my eggs in one basket, literally my basket being my home. So I have drives off-site and more stuff backed up online because if it's gone, it's gone, and
You're
that's
doing
it.
the cloud storage too?
Yeah,
What are you doing?
Some guy named Steve. He lives a few blocks down the street. He's got this big garage with a lot of big cabinets and stuff. He says he could store as much as I want.
What's the place called? It's called
He calls it the cloud.
And it's easy. It's just down the street. So, you know,
It's perfect.
When the garage door opens, it's just very cloudy.
Yeah, clouds, right. So,
But seriously, what are you using the Mac the Mac backup
Apple.
or Apple?
Yeah. But and you know, it's another thing I had to acknowledge. Again, I'm going through right now with my Franken scanner and doing really nice digitizing of Kodachrome, mostly Kodachromes and some black and white negatives. And the stuff's really good. I'm using a Sony A7R II, so my files are 120 megs. I'm shooting raw files. I'm processing them. I'm getting more detail than I ever saw in them because I could open up the shadows, hold the highlights, play with the midtones, and it's just really, really, really nice. And I've gotten much better at retouching blops and scratches.
How long is it taking you to get through, let's say, I don't know, a box of slides? I mean, if you're going to go ahead and process them,
to do a slide, to do the copy is quick because the scanner thing that I have is all set up. The exposures, I play around with them a little bit because again it reads through it, so I'll adjust the exposures to optimize it. But takes 12 seconds to photograph the slide, and then depending on how grungy it is, and I clean them all off the film cleaner beforehand and swabs. Yeah. But there's always something there. But I'm going to say, on average, give me about 10, 15 minutes per image.
Okay.
So roughly. It's not bad. I mean, my stuff is not horrible.
It's really cool, though, that
still a lot of time.
You're probably... Does that make you want to shoot film more now because you can use Photoshop to edit and all that stuff?
Yes and no. I really appreciate shooting digital, and I really like shooting film. I mean, I have a lot more film cameras than digital cameras. But I also
they have a great look to them. The ones you've been
it's a unique thing. But I tell you, I happen to love the immediacy of digital. And by the way, I don't keep my screen on when I'm shooting. It's off. If I have to look at something, I'll play it back. But I don't have that playback going all the time. I don't bother with that. I'd rather shoot.
So do you want to tell folks what you showed me yesterday? Your very
I
first...
thought we weren't going to be talking about that.
Yeah, but I thought about it all night, and I think we need to go public. The first slide you ever shot, that was pretty cool.
Okay, yeah. One of the things I came across was my first roll of color slide film. I had the box of slides, and it goes back to April of 1969. Okay, I was just about ready to leave high school, and I put my first roll of color slides in, and I went down to Coney Island, and it was mostly little color patches and splatters and stuff. And then I took one picture. I actually pulled back the frame, the slide frame, the cardboard, to see what it was, and it was frame 22, and it was a blue wood plywood wall with a red bucket and a broom.
Yeah.
And
a little still life.
Part of the broom and part of and it was the first what I call Alan White's picture because it was framed the way I frame everything.
That's awesome. It was the first.
I stopped it. That's it.
Yeah.
Right there is when I found my style and my eye clicked.
I got to
that
see
picture.
that. Yeah, I got to see that. You haven't shown that to me yet.
No. I'm holding back on it.
Let's post it.
That's awesome.
I'll do some. Yeah, I will. Yeah. But it was great. And again, that's 50 years ago. There it is.
It's pretty cool.
My eye clicked right there.
But one thing that I noted was the colors were insane. I mean, the red in that bucket was beautiful.
Yeah. And that was an Ektachrome. And what's interesting is that most of the Ektachromes that I shot early on, they're fading. It's not a very stable color process. The dyes are in the film, whereas Kodachromes is actually a black and white emulsion, and the color is added in during the processing, and it's far more stable. And I've seen Kodachromes going back to the 1940s that are brilliant. But the ones that I have, and I started shooting Kodachrome 72, 73, they're all there, unless they were stored in a place that was horrible and they got moldy or something. But otherwise, the colors are remarkable.
But you're saying here that though the capturing the nuances of the Kodachrome is difficult.
Yeah, that's the whole.
You're talking about when you're
with the scan.
Kodachrome is an interesting film. It's the most accurate, gorgeous color film ever made, and it's not made anymore, and it won't be made again. It had a run of X amount of years, and the way it renders certain skies and certain colors, it's got a realism to it that no other film ever got. I remember when Fujifilm Velvia came out, I remember I turned in my first assignment on that. The art director put on his sunglasses to look at them. He says, "What the hell were you on when you shot this stuff?" But I mean, the colors are just bizarre. It's even
I love
Fuji,
those colors, so yeah.
but even Fuji digital cameras today, they have a look about them because Fuji Goose is the color, and it's gorgeous, but it's not natural. But Kodachrome catches things beautifully and accurately, and as soon as you scan it. Now, if you're using a scanner, the characteristics of the sensor, color scanning sensor, if you're using a camera, the camera sensor, everything has its own profile and personality. And then what monitor are you looking at and how are you outputting it? Are you printing it? So whatever you're looking at, being a scan of a Kodachrome on a monitor or in a print, you're never really capturing what that Kodachrome really was. You have to look at it through a loop on a light box.
So you're finding that you have to do some tweaking just to get it back to how it should look?
I try to get as close as I can, and I'm also accepting the fact that I never will be able to match it because it's a different medium. It's just different.
Right.
But it's great, and it's all part of it. But again, the images themselves, I'm astonished of how good they are and how I'm able to really bring this stuff into a digital medium.
I saw the one you did. It was like a wheat field or something, and it was like there was like some kind of tractor or cropping device.
Sure.
And it had
a combine.
And it had that weird depth of field in the
front. That
front.
was a 500 millimeter f5 Nikkor mirror lens.
That had a very very interesting look to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very flat color on that lens.
You don't see that on a computer
it.
screen that often.
Nope, you don't. So anyway, but one of the things I keep coming back to is that this is like the fourth time I'm scanning stuff from going back some years ago, and I originally used a $400, I think it was a Polaroid scanner, which was very good in its day. And then from there, I went to a Nikon Coolscan 4000, which was even better. And then I started playing around digital cameras, I think it was a Fuji S2, which was 12 megapixel. Then I went to a Canon 5D, and now I'm using the Sony, and each one is progressively better. And of course, now we're looking at a 61 megapixel camera. So it's really funny that I keep upgrading every few years my scanning process, but what am I going back to? The original slide and the original negative. And nothing will be as good as that.
Right.
Good night, folks.
Good night, folks.
So you're asking me about film or digital better? It's it's a tough one.
Makes
me
want to try more. It makes me want to try it though, because what I always think about when shooting film is that for me, I like being able to go back and adjust.
Yeah.
So you have that capability with Photoshop and with scanning and
you
stuff.
do. Yeah. And Infinite. Now, here's the thing with Kodachrome. You only had about maybe a third of a stop of over and under exposure because it was very narrow range, and your exposures had to be dead on. You had to know what you were doing.
Right.
And
slides.
now you with slides, and now you shoot raw files. You could be a total slob.
And you still see recovery the same way you used to do. Yeah.
But also with negatives, there's a lot of work. You can do a lot of things with negatives.
Yes.
I mean, I remember back in the day, a negative that you see on the contact sheet and you think it's useless. Well, once you put it in the enlarger and you try to mess with it, you can get stuff that you need out of it. So a little different, but yeah.
But even shooting raw files now and going in and doing the adjustments in monochrome to convert to black and white, it's like, wow, in each color channel, all these little subtleties you can do.
So you're up in your Photoshop game too this year, right?
Yes, I am. Nobody knows Photoshop 1,000%. You can't.
Yeah, we were talking to a photographer the other day who's an expert, and I said I couldn't even give you a percentage of what I think I know about Photoshop, and he said, "You know what? Same for me." I just, but so you're doing pretty well with your resolution, then I guess, which was that was what it was. You had your Franken scanner, and you wanted to go through stuff, and you wanted to.
Yeah, I'm actually doing it, and I like it, and it's giving me a lot of ideas for a couple of projects I want to do.
Cool. Well, that'd be great to see. Long-term projects, you mean? Or like something semi-long-term anyway.
Some of it actually going back to stuff that I had that I found pictures that I've never looked at since I shot them, and it's sort of like more pieces of a puzzle because I had certain groupings of pictures that I liked, and I wasn't quite sure if I had more of this type, and I'm finding pictures, wow, this is part of the series.
Do you have anything undeveloped? You should send it into Lost Rolls. That episode, remember with the Lost Rolls in America?
I actually do. Yes.
I should too. But, you've also written tons of articles over the past 9 months. Any gear that really stood out? Anything that you said, all right, not only do I like this, but I may buy it or get it? Any cameras, any lenses, anything that really...
Oh man,
Hit your fancy?
I've used the Zeiss Bodice 40mm f2 on several occasions, and even though I'm not really a normal lens guy, I can't believe how many good pictures I've gotten out of that lens that I really like.
Cool.
So I got that.
And that's a 50...
40mm f2 bodice. That's for the Sony E-mount cameras. It's
almost perfect.
So that I really, really like. What else? What you just asked? What?
You were asking about, well, I was asking about gear that you used over the course of the year.
Oh,
and
yeah,
something
yeah,
that
yeah.
stood out, or what gear that you tried may take you in a different direction.
Okay. Now, one lens that I fell in love with, and I'm kind of surprised that I did, that I went out and just bought, was that 7 Artisans, the 50mm f1.1. I'm not a lens baby kind of guy, and it is kind of have the quality to it. That lens is lovely. I wide open, it's just ghostly, and I got the 50mm 1.2 Nikkor, which is a stunning lens at f2, and what it does in the background is amazing. But this lens, even when you stop it down, the center gets really nice and sharp, but it gets that swirliness towards the edges. And I found I took a lot of pictures that I just really liked with this.
It had like an ethereal kind of look to it.
Yeah. And just as a break from what I normally do, and it was crazy cheap.
And which lens is it again?
That's the 7 Artisans, the 50mm f1.1, available in silver or black.
Yeah, I was going to pick that up too. Cool. It's good.
And it's affordable.
Which is refreshing these days.
Yeah.
Because I see too many things that are just not affordable.
Is that a new brand or?
It's been around for a couple of years. Yeah, we've been carrying it for a while, and but they make a whole bunch of high-speed optics, and they're made out of, they're all metal alloys, so they're built real good, but they're cheap.
High speed and cheap, yeah.
Yeah.
Or affordable.
Affordable, that's right.
So you're saying here that, I'm looking at your notes, that you're still in the Sony A7 camp for the time being, but thinking about transitioning.
I love Leicas. I really do.
Sure.
I mean, I own 4 M bodies for film, which is too much for any human being. And I'd love to buy a digital Leica, but the nature of my shooting is I get real close. I like shooting inches from the subject, and Leicas are not close-up cameras. Kind of limited for optics. It's 15 or 18 millimeter through 135. That's it. Mm-hmm. Without getting into a whole bunch of Rube Goldberg attachments and things. You can do it, but another reason is that most of the M cameras right now are 24 megapixel cameras, and they take stunning photographs, despite the fact that they're not the highest resolution out there. But the newest series of cameras, starting with the Q2, have that 46 or 47 megapixel sensor, and that's where they're all going. Now, by the way, for you listeners who do want to buy an M, there's going to be a limited run of the ME digital camera, which is going to cost just under $4,000. And that is essentially the last run of 24 megapixel Leica digital M's. And they haven't arrived yet. They were announced, but they're only making a few hundred of these. But this is basically the way they're closing out that line of sensors. But it's a great deal. For under $4,000, you can get yourself a stunning camera.
Are those available for pre-order?
Yes, they are.
Well, in that case, hit the show notes.
That's right.
Yeah, check the show notes. Yeah, no, but definitely check all the show notes. Check the show notes for all the cameras and gear we're talking about today.
So you're thinking about it?
I think about it, but no, I wouldn't do it. Yeah. It's not right for me.
Think about it all the time.
I'd love to have it, but most of the shooting that I do, I'll be frustrated by the camera.
Yeah.
So therefore, I remain with Sony. That despite the fact I hate its menus and everything else.
You just like the simplicity of the way that Leica works.
It's the simplicity of the design, the form factor, and the menus. If you have never seen or used a Leica digital camera, try it, because the menus, I don't know why everybody else makes it so difficult. They got it down to the basics, and it's perfect. So, that's my story. And you, John?
So, back in January, I had a couple projects that I was hoping to get to, and there's some degree of success and some not so successful degrees. However, it's funny you mentioned Sony and Leica, because one of the things that I am now going to continue to try to look to do more of is still photography on set. I'm going to actually reach out to some people and try to find some jobs. But if I do that, I'm going to have to go mirrorless, because I'm not going to get a big blimp and put my Nikon into it.
So you want to shoot in studios?
Yeah, well, on set,
on set.
Whatever it happens to be, like I used to do for the movies. And so I may be looking to get an A7 of some sort, in the near future.
The silent mode is is silent.
Yeah, that's something. Although that's a little bit down the line. I have some other things going in the
Big
meantime.
big changes.
Big changes, yeah. But the main thing that I wanted to do this year was get back to street photography and do it in more of a do it with kind of a plan, have some idea to what I was doing as opposed to just kind of shooting on the way to work, which I still do. And to that, it's been somewhat successful. I feel like I have gotten back out there. I am shooting more. I'm taking a little different approach, which may seem odd, but it's more of like a scattershot approach. It's more about, shooting without looking through the viewfinder. Mm-hmm. It's about, trusting my instincts on what's going to come up, feeling the thing as it approaches, as it's about to happen, and shoot. So yeah, I get a lot of things that just don't work out. But every now and again you get a gem that you're just what you're looking for. And that kind of hit or miss is part of the fun. At least it's become part of the fun. And it's a little bit in contrast to the street photography I used to do, where I would kind of just sit around in one spot, compose a little more carefully and look for the light. But it's been a fun experience, and I'm going to be posting some of those photos on the Facebook group. And I'd like to get some comments from folks and also see some of your street photography out there, some of our listeners. But the one thing I have been doing is looking for side light. I've been trying to find moments where in New York City in the early mornings or in the late evenings when that light is kind of blasting down. Mm-hmm. And so you're getting some bright light and long shadows, and it's just been so much fun to play with that and kind of getting people placed within the frame in different locations, almost like they're frozen statues, which has been part of the fun.
And you get that warmer tone that time of day too if you're shooting color, which I love.
Yeah, totally. And it has been mostly in color, which is a change. But in doing this, and if you go back and listen to the episode, you'll hear that in January I was really hoping that getting either the Fuji X100F or the Ricoh GR3 would kind of open the door to this whole new phase of street photography.
Both of them, right?
And I was able to try both of them, and I was able to try the Leica Monochrome M that you loaned me for a little bit.
Right, which is not mine, folks.
Right.
I borrowed it and I lent it to him. We both tried it.
Yeah. And after a couple of days of using it, and it's a rangefinder, I got into the groove and I loved it, and I worked the lens in terms of getting my, what do you call it?
Hyperfocal distance.
And it was fun, and it worked out pretty well. However, it's just not, it's a little bit out of my price range.
I got to ask you something now. You're going out with a camera that does black and white, period. Mm-hmm. And every once in a while I'll go out and I'll take one of my film cameras, and if I'm shooting film, it's invariably going to be Tri-X. Right. Okay? And I always get frustrated saying, what if I see a great color shot? Yeah. Did that bother you when you had the monochrome?
Not so much. No, because I knew it was just something I was playing with for the course of a week, and I just gave myself into it. So no, it didn't.
See, that's another reason why I'm getting drawn back.
If I needed to, yeah.
True, yeah, you do have your phone as a backup. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I also like going back to, say, my Sony, what you can really do with any camera, is the fact if you're shooting RAW, you're getting all your color data, and you have a lot of data for doing good monochrome. Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing.
A little bit of cheating
Well,
involved.
no, is it?
Yeah, I don't know. A little bit. I mean, it depends on what you're doing and what you want to do. But for me, it's probably better just to accept whatever it is that I decided to shoot with that day. If it's a personal project, Well,
and you know what I do?
Black and white,
what I'll do is quite often I'll keep my camera set to monochrome with shooting JPEG and RAW.
Right.
I'm getting all the color data, but when I look through the camera on the finder, it's monochrome, and I could think monochrome. Right. But if that color shot is there, I do have it.
All right.
And it's cheaper than 2 Leica M cameras.
I'm more in Alan's camp for sure with that. If I was out and I only had the option of shooting black and white, and I saw something that would just had to be color, I'd be so pissed.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I think that's part of this whole experience of the street photography that I'm doing now is being okay with missing shots. Just okay. I missed it. That's life, and that's part of the process. I mean, I knew if I wanted to approach it differently, and I missed it. I mean, there have been cases where I've missed shots and I was angry, and I'm not talking about color or black and white, just missing a good shot because I was kind of, like I said, not using the viewfinder or running and gunning. But in general,
is this you talking about when you slammed the camera on the ground and exploded?
No.
On 34th Street?
No, his magic keeping that under control. Okay. That hasn't happened for a while.
The time that it really bothered me was when I was biking and I had, was no-handing it with these group of cyclists all around me going up 8th Avenue, and things just weren't focusing fast enough. I was missing shots, or the focus was getting on, the guy behind when I wanted the guy in the foreground and things like that. And I mean, that's to be expected when you're cycling up an avenue with no hands and you're shooting people around you who are cycling. But at the same time,
That sounds frightening.
Yeah, it was exciting though.
I want to see those. You did get some good ones, right?
I'm going to post a couple. Yeah, I did get a few good ones for sure. But in the course of maybe a 10-minute bike ride, I probably shot 300 photos.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. And totally exciting.
And that was with the 750 or that was with the black and white camera?
That was with the D750,
Yeah, okay.
which is what I wanted to kind of get to at the end of this, which is after trying the Fujifilm X100F, which is clearly a street photographer's camera, or people like it for that, and the Ricoh GR3, which has this kind of cult attraction among street photographers. I ended up going back to mostly using the D750, my Nikon DSLR, which I'm comfortable with, and I don't know how to say it. It's just easier for me to use. It's not that heavy with a light lens on it. The problem was that I had the Nikkor 35mm f1.8 and the 50 f1.8, which are G lenses, and I couldn't really afford the 35mm f1.4. So I went with the Sigma 35mm f1.4, and it's a little bit bigger, but I'm totally happy with it.
Yeah, the image quality is stunning.
Yeah.
Now, does the size of all that bother you? Because I'm getting less and less tolerant of DSLRs with big DSLR lenses.
A little bit, but not so much.
You're younger than me.
Well, not by much, but it just...
He's older than me, and that's way too big for me.
Yeah. No, I'd like to find that smaller camera that gets me all the stuff that I want out of the Nikon, and I haven't done it yet, but maybe it'll keep coming. I should probably try the Sonys.
Didn't you also get another Sigma? Didn't you get the 24-70 also?
Yeah, that's what I use. That's for like a work lens for sure. Oh, the other thing I used was that one of the tough cams, the TG6 from Olympus, which I always love the tough cams for underwater, and then they fit my lifestyle, which is basically breaking things. So I used that for street photography, and that was pretty good too. It had, there's a few drawbacks, but it fits this kind of attitude that I've been holding, which is, just shoot and figure it out later. And that was fun to play with. I could see myself going back to that, but it doesn't quite answer the problems.
One thing that's nice about those cameras, though, is that unlike wall point and shoots that have these tiny little metal blades protecting your lens, which are horrible.
Break,
and you never know if your lens has a fingerprint on it because it's always closed if you're not using it.
Right.
These things have like a little glass plate in front of it that's waterproof. You know if your lens is dirty, it's always ready, and you could just toss it in your bag.
Totally. Yeah, and I think it's like 20 frames per second, if it's in the electronic shutter, so that's pretty great too.
I tell people who have little kids, what camera should I buy? Buy a tough camera. Your kid could chew on it. It doesn't matter. They could throw it across the room. It's okay.
Right, yeah. So that's been going well. The other two things that I wanted to do this year, not so much. There was a project that I shot in 1999, actually 20 years ago, which was meant in my head then to be a 20-year project, to look at it 20 years later. And I wanted to go through all that material and edit it. Most of it's in black and white negative. And I haven't even done it yet. I haven't even opened up the boxes. So that's something that's still waiting. But because I'm moving, well, there are actually two reasons why this happened. I received a call from somebody to license an image that I shot in 1998, and I had to find that slide, which was not easy. And that got me into some boxes and some folders of slides, and I started pulling them out and doing what you're doing. I haven't been scanning them, but just going through them and throwing out tons of stuff. And it's been a fun process. But the thing that I learned mostly, which I guess gets back to your point too of what we shot back in the day compared to what we're shooting now, is to see the patterns that you develop over time and maybe the cliches that you work in or you work out of and all those kind of aspects of developing your craft over the years. So that's been fun to see what remains and what I've kind of shedded, So it's been a pretty good year in that sense. I'm trying to think of what other aspects of my resolutions. Well, I wanted to get back to some street photography. I've done that. This project, not so much. And hopefully, work-wise, I'll find some more still photography on movie sets. That's kind of my goal for the year, and we'll see how it goes. So
Was any of your thoughts about movie sets influenced by Jeff Bridges' interview, or no?
No, but it was influenced even more when we had the still photographers on. We had JoJo Wilden and
we've had
back in, at least 6 or 7 months ago, and it's just a career opportunity that seems plausible. Let's put it that way. So that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, the Jeff Bridges was fun, and we look forward to getting that episode out for sure. All right.
By the way, for those of you who have no idea what we're referring to here, about 2 weeks ago, we recorded a podcast with actor-photographer Jeff Bridges, and that will be airing.
He's got a new book coming out.
New book coming out,
of
all of his movie photography, which is great stuff.
It's
and the interview was wonderful.
October,
So sometime in October, we're going to have that show airing. So stay tuned. It was a fun podcast. Sure. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk with Jason and his New Year's resolutions and how they are coming along. Stay tuned.
We hope you're enjoying this edition of the B&H Photography Podcast. Send us a tweet at BHPhotoVideo, #BHPhotoPodcast.
Okay, we are back. Jason, how you been handling? First of all, what were your resolutions? What did you say you were going to be doing?
I was going to start exploring shooting architecture and cityscapes with longer lenses.
Yeah,
like super long. And I have done quite a bit of that. I shot. I actually borrowed John's 70-200 Nikon lens and adapted that to my Sony. And shot some pretty cool cityscape stuff with that. And also I've been using...
with an extender? With any kind of... No.
The 70-200.
You didn't go longer than 200?
I have gone a little bit longer than 200, but not with that lens.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I did originally talk about, getting like a 100-400. I just can't afford the lens.
Did you try the Sony, the clear zoom function?
Yeah, I have not.
You have to.
Yeah, I got to do that. Yeah, and it makes like the JPEG that like is like super high quality though.
It basically doubles your focal length without image loss, and it's in your camera.
Yeah.
So if you have a 70-200, you can go up to 400 right now.
Yeah, I should do that. But I've also been shooting in my buddy's A6000 with his 55-210 APS-C lens. And getting pretty close in there with that.
Now, that also has the same clear zoom function in it.
Yeah.
So you could use that and double it.
Wow.
Which would be nuts.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do.
I got to try that. Yeah. I always forget about that. I know you wrote an article about that.
Yeah.
I got to read that article, then it'll be solidified in my
For those of
banks.
listeners who don't know what we're talking about, many Sony cameras, they have a function called clear zoom function where when you engage it, you can double. It's a continuous zoom just by pushing a little button on the back of your camera, one of the little zoom buttons, and you can double the focal length of your lens without affecting your image quality in JPEG only, no RAW. But it's extraordinary. It's voodoo, but it works.
Yeah, I got to try that. I've been meaning to try it. I always forget about it. I mean, generally, a lot of the time I shoot RAW, but I think from what you're saying, the quality's so good, it really doesn't matter too much. I don't think.
Well, if you can get the shot with a tiny less quality, that's okay.
Yeah, if it gets real close in.
Because first of all, here's the trade-off. You could not use it and then crop in and blow up the image, and then you are losing quality.
Right.
Here you're zooming in without losing the quality, so you just win.
So yeah, I've been doing that and having some pretty good results. And also I've gotten way into shooting people this last year, which was not on my resolution. So I've been kind of bouncing back between shooting longer lenses and shooting cityscapes and architecture stuff and going out and shooting people.
The people stuff has been this kind of abstracts, right? Like kind of close-ups of faces with the glows of the cell phones and things like that.
Yeah, kind of weird.
That's cool.
I've been trying to do like some kind of, I don't know. I've been just seeing where it goes. Yeah, I have several little threads that I've been kind of following. Yeah. Taking close-up shots of people's faces, but also like taking weird shots of like TV screens and stuff. I still haven't bought a really fast prime. That's on my to-do list before the end of the year. I have to get that squared away. I think I'm going to go with that 51.2. Is that the
the 50 millimeter f1.2 Nikkor. It's the AIS manual focus lens. Made for 30 years.
Yep.
At f2, it blows away most every other 50 millimeter lens out there, and it's very affordable. If anybody's looking for a good normal lens, that does it.
Definitely going to get that, and I'm also looking at that 7 Artisans lens for sure. Yeah, because it's so affordable and it's just so weird. I like
one thing to mention, we were moving into a new apartment, and the views from the 16th floor are pretty incredible.
I got to come out there.
It made me want to get a long lens, like a 400, and just do kind of building geometric abstracts of building to building.
It's like collage. You use,
Exactly,
yeah, with long
yeah.
lenses, you crush that perspective.
Yeah.
And in the city, the patterns, you
have
get a
the view
great.
it's going to be great once I get that going.
One thing I definitely want to do is to get a tele extender for that 55 to 210 for the A6000 because that would give you some more range to take some really up close kind of architecture stuff from super long distance.
Now, just keep one thing in mind. You'd probably get better results using that clear zoom function than you will with a
2X.
With a 2X, my guess is you might want to run a test on that.
How come? Why do you think?
Because you're dealing with teleconverters, as good as they are right now. You're dealing with another optical system being put in front of another optical system. You have variations of alignment. Some are better than others. And again,
you lose the max aperture.
That was the word I was looking for. Teleconverter, not
yes. And you lose light. Whereas with the Sony function, you don't lose any light, and you're definitely losing less image quality.
Meaning you can't open the aperture as wide. Is that what you're saying with the
extender on?
Well, you lose light. A 1.4, you lose one stop of light, and
Gotcha.
a 2-time you lose 2 stops of light. Now that could also affect your autofocus speed.
Right. I mean, generally for this stuff, I'm not really using autofocus. I'm just kind of just zooming way in.
But even just for image quality, I'm willing. If you shoot side by side, you might be better off with what you have in your camera.
There's no reason not to do it.
Yeah.
To try it. Yeah.
And I'll split the difference of what you just saved.
I still want RAW though. I still want the ability to shoot RAW.
Okay.
That's another thing. Actually, in some cases normally I'll shoot in RAW / JPEG high, but I've been occasionally just turning the RAW off completely because I just know some of these personal shots I'm never going to need it or use it. You know.
Well, no, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I turn it off at times. Depends on what I'm shooting, for sure.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that I realized because before it was you got to have RAW. You got to have RAW, and just in case.
I actually got back more toward just when I started doing the slide digitizing because it's the better way to go.
That makes sense.
And then I just started to appreciate it more, and I just left it in that function, and it's just there.
I'm too much of a tweakhead.
Yeah.
I'm a tweaker. I'm a tweaker.
No, that actually gets me back to a point I wanted to make in the first half, which has to do with this idea of street photography and trying to pull myself back from these ideas of tweaking and exactitude and just kind of, I don't even know how to phrase it really.
How
just
about enjoying taking pictures?
Well, it's enjoying it, but it's almost like giving myself up to the flow of the street, not even trying to remove myself from the process as much as possible other than what I see, in terms of trying to control that. I don't want to do that. I just want it to happen. And if it happens and the photo's good, then that meant the moment was good. And if not, okay, I pass it on. That's kind of what it has more to do with, like a mental thing as opposed to any kind of technical or
and that lens is, I mean, that's inherent to the style of street photography too. It's to some extent, right? It's about the moment, right?
Yeah, totally. And yeah, this will work with street photography, no doubt. But it's even more of for me, trying to lessen the degree of control,
right?
And see what you get,
right.
and obviously that flies in the face to a lot of photographers, but that's where I'm at with it. I've done that street photography where it was more of a controlled thing, and or where you go up to somebody and you speak to them, hey, and I do that still. Like I did it the other day when I was on in Rockaway. I was asking some people to just kind of, can I take your picture? Just say how you are, and let me get it. And they were cool. But in general, I'm trying to work away from that for a while and just I
got berated by a tourist the other day taking pictures on the subway.
Right. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird. I was just stunned. I don't know. It was I think in Europe it's not quite the same in terms of.
Well, the laws are different.
Yeah. I don't know how. I mean, in New York, it's like. Yeah. I was like, you probably got your picture taken by 4 different street photographers since you've been on this train. Right. I was thinking, Well,
that happened to me on the street over here. A guy was yelling at me for taking pictures. And I said, look up. And he was standing underneath a security camera that was photographing him constantly.
That's
you
great.
know what I mean? And that's just one of the arguments that come up a lot with street photography. Yeah. But to jump back to the story, this guy berated me on the street and he got vulgar and I tossed a few back at him. And about a week later, I was walking to the same coffee shop and I get a tap on my shoulder and it's the guy. And he says, listen, I just want to apologize.
Whoa.
I don't know what set me off that day. It was a rough day, and you annoyed me with your camera, but I had no reason to be yelling at you like that, and I really want to apologize. You can take a picture anywhere you want. This is New York City. And I said, well, thanks a lot, man. And I'm sorry, too. And
you give him a good hug.
We didn't hug, but we shook hands, and now I see him semi-regularly, and we say hi. So I think it's...
no, that's actually nice that he had in him to come over and do that.
Absolutely.
Because we all lose it like that.
Totally,
you know, you don't have opportunities to go over and say, listen, I'm an idiot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Basically, it was one of those moments that makes you appreciate... humanity a little bit. So, and you got to check yourself too, because we're always kind of building up our defenses and being ready to fight at the drop of a hat, especially for me when it comes to photography in the street. But he was willing to cross that bridge, and now we're buds. So anyway,
I love it.
Yeah. So Jason, anything else on that? I mean, what gear are you thinking about? What have you used and tried and put aside? Or what
so
might you want to get?
Like I said, I'm definitely going to pick up the Nikon 50mm f 1.2. I was eyeing the G Master 100 to 400 for the A7, but it's just too expensive. I just can't. I don't know. I just can't afford it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be great to have. Yeah. I'm much more into doing these weird tricks to get more reach that's Alan has suggested. Yep.
Vivitar makes, I think it's like a 200 to 500 millimeter f6.8 zoom. It looks like a baseball bat. Costs about $119. You might want to try one of those.
Those are kind of fun. Yeah. Or the F8.
Is it sharp at all?
The F8, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well defined at all.
Yeah. Well, in bright sunlight,
Yeah, no, it's okay in bright. It is.
The other thing I should mention, and I was shooting it last night, is I found in the garbage, believe it or not, a Image Capture Pro Polaroid camera, the kind that folds down flat.
Yeah.
And I went, I bought a pack of film, which has the battery are in the pack of film. I put it in, and it just cranked right up, and it works perfect. Not perfectly, because sometimes it takes you have to pull out the image itself. Sometimes it gets caught in the inject
Does
system.
that camera still have that funky smell about it?
It does have that funky smell about it. I don't know whose house it was in for all these years, but it works, and I've been taking pictures with it. When something like that lands right in your lap, you gotta
go for it.
Yeah. So, all right, so I guess we're 3/4 of the way through the year, and hopefully we can. I'd like to get to this. This 20-year project of mine, at least before we're done with 2019. But other than that, it's been a pretty successful year, I think, photographically. Had some photos put in books. I had a photo in on the cover of a book, which was great to finally get sent to me. That was fun. And some jobs here and there. I did the ticker tape parade. That was kind of fun, and some of the protests that are going on in the city now. So keeping busy.
I think I need to get more focused.
Yeah.
I think I have a bunch of ideas and a bunch of projects that I want to see to fruition. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they're all competing with each other. Mm. So I think I need to focus.
Find one.
Gotcha. Take one and run with it.
Yeah.
Finish one. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's so I give myself I don't know, a C. So I'm
going to give myself a B-.
I'm going for A- because I'm proud of myself. I threw out a lot of old stuff. I've actually been scanning and cleaning up, and I have a nice body of work that I've rediscovered. And some of this stuff has actually never been out there before. The slides were taken back in the box. Never before seen pictures.
Wow. All right, so let's get these things up on the Facebook group
all
page.
Right, we'll start doing that today.
And also in this episode, there'll be some in the show notes, we'll have some photos of ours and a lot of links to click on for some of the gear we're talking about. But I guess we should get to
the big moment. We talked long enough now.
Okay, good.
All right, so now here's the big moment. As you all know, we had the big Panasonic LUMIX sweepstakes, and a lot of people entered to win. So, all that said, the winner of the second prize, and this prize is for the LUMIX DC G95 mirrorless digital camera with a 12 to 60 millimeter lens, is Mr. Roger Longenbach of Austin, Texas. Congrats, Roger. The winner of the grand prize, which is a Panasonic LUMIX DC-S1 mirrorless digital camera with a 24 to 105 millimeter f4 lens, is Joseph Lockwood of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Congrats to you. We're going to be reaching out to both of them after they've had a chance to play with their new toys and talk to them on our podcast and upcoming podcast to see how they're coming along, how they like their new cameras and lenses. And actually, you guys are not that far apart. You're about 6 hours drive across Route 10, according to our coordinates. We're running a Waze report right now. There is traffic at about the 1,200 milepost. So be careful. Stop for lunch.
Right here in Joseph.
There you go. So anyway, congrats, guys. That's terrific. We're glad you got your cameras. I hope you enjoy them, and we're looking forward to talking to you and seeing how you're coming along. In the meantime, that's a wrap of another fine episode. And remember to subscribe on all the usual suspect portals if you'd like to join our B&H Photography podcast. Remember, we do have the podcast Facebook group, and check our show notes for links to the gear we discussed on this very show and every episode. And as always, on behalf of Jason, John, and myself, thank you so much for tuning in today.